A billionaire tech mogul Alexander Blackwood faces his darkest hour when his beloved wife passes away, leaving behind their innocent 5-year-old son, Ethan. Desperate to shield his son from the world's pity and keep custody, Alex hires a warm-hearted kindergarten teacher, Lily Harper, to pose as Ethan's mother. As Lily steps into their opulent penthouse, she brings laughter to their grief-stricken halls. Fake smiles turn genuine as small moments weave Lily into their lives. Through bedtime stories, secret candy raids, and rainy day dances, pretend love blossoms into something real. When a rival family threatens custody and Alex's heart, Alex and Lily must decide: keep up the charade or follow their hearts to a love that was never pretend. Before we start the story, leave a comment to let us know which city you're watching from. Like and subscribe to support our community. Your support means a lot to us. Now, enjoy the story as we continue. Alexander Blackwood pressed his palm against the cool glass of his office window and watched the afternoon sun slip behind New York skyline. He had built Blackwood Technologies from a small startup into a global empire. Yet in this moment, none of that mattered. His life had broken apart 3 months ago when his wife, Emma, slipped away in her sleep. A rare illness had quietly stolen her breath, leaving Alexander and their 5-year-old son, Ethan, alone in their vast penthouse. Inside the apartment's marble-floored foyer, a lone toy train creaked along invisible tracks, abandoned mid-loop. Alexander walked to the center of the living room and sank onto the edge of the leather sofa. Each empty cushion seemed to echo Emma's laughter. He closed his eyes and pictured her bright smile, the way it crinkled her brown eyes and made their daughter's nursery glow with warmth. Emma had been his partner, in business and in life. Together, they had dreamed up technologies to help people connect, to bring families closer. Now, Alexander was bereft. He glanced around at the expensive art and designer furniture. None of it filled the hole in his chest. Worst of all, he was failing to protect the one life that mattered most, Ethan's. The boy had grown quiet since Emma's funeral. His usual chatter about dinosaurs and outer space had given way to shy whispers. At bedtime, he clung to his father's leg, tears staining his small pajamas. Alexander feared the courts would see him as a work-obsessed father who couldn't give a child the love he needed. In the legal world, mothers were seen as the default caregivers. Alexander knew his wife's family might try for custody. He refused to let that happen, not when Ethan was all he had left. Later that evening, Alexander drove in his black sedan to the private school where he and Emma had first met. The annual spring fundraiser buzzed with parents and teachers under a white tent. Warm light spilled onto green grass, and the scent of cake drifted through the air. He spotted Lily Harper at a table of children's artwork. She knelt beside a shy kindergartner, explaining how the paint mixed to form new colors. Her laughter was gentle and unhurried, a balm to the nervous child. Alexander remembered Emma's words. "Find someone with a kind heart, Alex. That's the greatest gift you can offer Ethan." He watched Lily's soft smile as she straightened her blouse and thanked the child for sharing her rainbow painting. Something in Lily's calm presence made Alexander's chest ache with hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could help him keep his son. That night, Alexander lay in the dark of his bedroom, the city lights forming a glittering map on the ceiling. He held his phone above his head and typed a message to the school principal. Request contact for Lily Harper. Urgent, private matter. His thumb hovered over send. He swallowed hard, ready to cross a line he never thought he would, asking a stranger to pretend to be Ethan's mother. In the quiet, his heart pounded with both guilt and relief. He was about to ask Lily for the greatest favor of all, and the greatest risk. Because once he brought her into their lives, nothing would ever be the same. Lily Harper's heart fluttered as she rode the sleek elevator up 30 floors to the Blackwood penthouse. In her hand, she clutched her neatly organized portfolio. Inside were drawings of colorful classroom projects and letters of recommendation. She had never imagined her resume would lead her to a glass tower overlooking the city's pulsing heart. When the doors opened, a quiet butler in a charcoal suit greeted her with a respectful bow. "Ms. Harper, Mr. Blackwood will see you now." He led her down a hallway lined with abstract paintings until they reached a door at its end. Inside, Alexander Blackwood stood behind a polished oak desk. His dark suit was impeccable, but his shoulders sagged ever so slightly. The weight of loss seemed to press on him, making Lily's chest tighten. She offered a small, professional smile. "Ms. Harper," he began, voice steady yet gentle, "thank you for coming on such short notice. Please sit. He motioned to a plush chair facing him. I understand you applied for a tutoring position. I'm afraid this interview is a bit different. Lily's stomach fluttered. Different how, sir? He leaned forward, his steel-gray eyes softening. My wife, Emma, passed away 3 months ago. My son, Ethan, needs a mother's love right now. The court assumes a single father can't fully care for a young child. I need someone to step in as Emma's cousin, to give Ethan the comfort of a mother until the custody hearing in 3 months. Then you and I part ways. No strings attached. The words tumbled over Lily's mind. She pictured Emma's vacant chair in the penthouse's grand dining room and felt a swell of compassion. You want me to pretend to be Ethan's mother? Alexander's throat tightened. Not a show, Ms. Harper. Real care, at bedtime, at breakfast, when he falls and scrapes his knee. I need him to feel safe and loved. In return, you'll live here, receive a generous salary, and know you made a difference. Lily swallowed, her empathy warring with her morals. She had devoted her career to nurturing children, but this was more than teaching ABCs. Hopes and fears filled her chest as she looked into his earnest gaze. Can you tell me more about Emma? He nodded, voice catching. She was brilliant, kind, the best mother I've ever known. Ethan misses her every day. I can't replace her, but maybe someone can help me fill this house with warmth again. A single promise lingered. Care, honesty, and no harm. Lily set her portfolio aside and straightened. I've loved every moment with my kindergartners, helping them learn trust and joy. If you believe I can do the same for Ethan, I'm willing to try. Alexander's relief was palpable. Thank you, Ms. Harper. We'll finalize details tomorrow morning. She stood, heart pounding, as they shook hands. The cool oak desk felt like a threshold she had crossed, into a world of privilege, pain, and the unknown. As Lily left that night, the city lights shimmered through her thoughts. Caring for a grieving child was never something she expected, but perhaps, in this grand experiment of pretend, real love might just grow. Lily Harper woke before dawn, her heart fluttering like a school bell on the first day. She dressed in a soft cream blouse and navy skirt, smoothing her hair into a loose chignon. From her bedside table, she picked up the silver locket Emma had given her, a reminder that love can be renewed in unexpected places. Today that love belonged to Ethan. Across the hall, tiny footsteps pattered on marble floors. Lily peeked into Ethan's room. He lay tangled in his dinosaur blanket, eyes half open. She offered a gentle smile and pushed the door wider. Good morning, sleepyhead, she whispered. Ethan blinked, rubbing his eyes. You're my mom, he asked, confusion and comfort mingling in his voice. Lily knelt beside him. I'm your cousin Lily, sweetheart. Today, I'll be here to help you and Daddy. We'll have lots of fun. She handed him a plush dinosaur. Meet Rex, he's your new morning buddy. He hugged Rex. Okay. He sat up, swinging legs over the side. Lily helped him into his light blue striped shirt, matching his bright eyes. In the dining room, the long oak table held 2 plates, steaming oatmeal for Lily, a smaller portion for Ethan. Lily guided him to stir in honey and cinnamon. The sweet aroma filled the penthouse. Ethan tasted and grinned. Perfect, Mom. Lily. Moments later, Alexander appeared in the doorway, his tie loosened and hair slightly tousled. His steel-gray eyes softened at the sight of them. Lily stood and offered a polite nod. Ethan reached for both their hands, weaving them into a breakfast triangle. We'll get through this, Alexander murmured, more to himself than to them. Lily caught his eye. He smiled, a small, hopeful curve that warmed her chest. After breakfast, Lily buckled Ethan into his car seat. She leaned in, saying, Let's practice your big boy wave. At the school entrance, Ethan waved fiercely at his teacher, who blew him a cheerful kiss through the glass doors. Lily watched his grin before the doors closed behind him and exhaled, relief mingled with pride. Back at the penthouse, she sent Alexander a quick text. Morning went well. I think he liked the dinosaur idea. His reply arrived seconds later. Thank you. Really? Her pulse quickened. By afternoon, Lily arranged fresh flowers in the living room and prepared sandwiches for their dinner. When Alexander returned, he lingered by the door, watching her. "You have a gentle way with him," he said softly. She brushed a stray hair behind her ear. "Ethan trusts me, and that's a gift." As evening fell, Lily read Ethan his favorite tale of brave explorers on the sofa. He yawned mid-story, eyes heavy. When she finished, he mumbled, "Thanks, Mama," and nuzzled into the cushions. Lily's heart skipped. Pretend felt impossibly real. Later, she tiptoed back to his room and tucked him in, brushing a curl from his forehead. At the door, she paused when Alexander stepped into the hallway. "Thank you," he whispered, voice thick with gratitude. She met his gaze under the soft night light. "He's a wonderful boy." They shared a look, full of unspoken understanding. In that hush, Lily wondered how long pretend could last, and whether her heart was already too involved to ever let go. The soft glow of the bedside lamp painted golden circles on the wall as Lily sat beside Ethan's small bed. He held Rex, the plush dinosaur, close to his chest and yawned, heavy-eyed from the day's excitement. Lily smoothed the covers over him and leaned down. "Do you want me to turn out the light?" she asked softly. Ethan shook his head, nestling deeper into his pillow. "Can you stay a little longer?" Lily smiled and tapped her chin. "All right. You've got 2 questions before bedtime." He thought hard, eyes blinking sleepily. "Why did Mommy leave? And why do I have a new mom who's not my real mom?" Lily's heart tugged. She rested her hand on his small shoulder. "Your mommy is always in your heart, Ethan. She got very sick, and her body needed rest in a place we can't visit," she explained gently. "I'm not replacing her. I'm here to help your daddy and you feel safe and loved." He turned his head, looking at her in the dim light. "Does Daddy miss her a lot?" Lily paused. She remembered her own late grandmother and the ache of loss. "Yes, he does. A lot. Sometimes grown-ups feel sad in ways kids can't see. That's why he asked me to help." Ethan nodded slowly. "I like having you here. You read the best stories." Lily's smile warmed her from inside out. "I'm glad. I love reading your explorer tales." He yawned again. "Will you stay when I'm scared of thunderstorms?" Lily reached out and tucked a curl behind his ear. "I'll stay right here until the storm goes away. I promise." Ethan's breathing softened as he drifted toward sleep. Lily remained still, watching him breathe. His trust in her felt sacred, and her chest swelled with protectiveness. Quiet footsteps approached from the hall. Alexander appeared in the doorway, his suit jacket draped over one arm. He sank onto the small stool beside Lily. "Thank you for this," he whispered, voice hushed and vulnerable. "You have no idea how much it means to him, and to me." He looked at Ethan's peaceful face. "Emma would be proud." Lily blinked back emotion. "He's a brave boy, Alex. You both are." He slid the door closed gently and stood under the warm light. "Can I confess something?" "Of course," she breathed. He hesitated, then admitted, "When I first saw you with him, I worried you'd leave the moment the hearing ends. I was afraid of being alone. Again." Lily's heart ached for his honesty. She reached out and touched his hand resting near hers. "I felt that fear too. Every day. I wonder how I'll say goodbye. But right now, I care for you both wholeheartedly." He picked her hand in his and gave it a gentle squeeze. In that silence, their shared fears and hopes mingled in the lamplit hush. Later, as Lily tiptoed back to her own room, she paused at the mirror and touched her reflection softly. Pretend had become something deeper. And as the rain tapped against the windowpane, she realized the line between make-believe and real love was beginning to blur. The next morning, Lily found a thick envelope on the coffee table addressed to Alexander in bold letters. She picked it up, feeling the weight of its contents before tearing it open. Inside was a legal notice and a letter from Emma's brother, Thomas Sinclair. He and his wife claimed Emma's estate had not properly named Lily as a guardian and threatened to challenge custody unless Alexander presented the truth, implying Lily was an imposter. Her heart thudded. Lily felt a cold wave of panic. Pretending to be Emma's cousin had always felt fragile, but now it risked more than just her job. She rushed to Alexander's office. He looked up from his computer as she burst in. "Alex," she panted, handing him the envelope. "They know. Thomas has lawyers ready to fight you for Ethan." Her voice shook. Alexander unfolded the letter, his face darkening. He read quickly, his jaw tightening. "They think I'm hiding something," he murmured. "That Lily is a fraud. If they go to court, they'll demand to see birth certificates and family records." Lily swallowed. "I never meant to fool anyone forever. I only agreed to help you and Ethan for 3 months. But they'll uncover the truth about me, and then the judge might side with them." He stood and paced, hand to chin. "Their lawyer is Ruth Jacobs. She's ruthless." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "I can't let them take my son. Not after everything Emma and I built. Not after what you've done for him." Lily laid a hand on his arm. "We'll face them together. I'll testify that I love Ethan and only wanted to protect him. I won't lie in court." His eyes met hers. Gratitude mingled with worry. "Thank you for standing by us. But this could expose our arrangement and put everything at risk." Lily drew a deep breath, steadying herself. "Maybe it's time to be honest, Alex. Pretending won't help us in court. We need to show that Ethan has a loving mother figure, even if it's not by blood." Alexander nodded slowly. "You're right. If we go in with honesty and show how much you've become part of our family, maybe the judge will see that stability and love matter more than paperwork." In that moment, they made a silent pact. Whatever happened, they would face Thomas Sinclair and his lawyer together. Lily felt fear but also resolve. Her place in this family was no longer a secret game. It was a bond she was willing to defend. Later, as she tucked Ethan into bed and brushed his hair, he looked at her with sleepy eyes. "Are we okay, Mom?" Lily kissed his forehead. "We're going to be just fine, sweetheart. No matter what happens, we're a team." Ethan smiled and closed his eyes. Lily stayed until he fell asleep, her heart set on fighting for him and the fragile family they were building. Morning sunlight filtered through the penthouse windows as Lily arranged fresh fruit and pastries on the breakfast bar. She smiled softly when Alexander joined her, tie loosened and dark circles under his eyes. The custody papers weighed on him, but today, they set aside worries for a moment to share a meal. "I made blueberry muffins," Lily said, offering him a plate. "Your favorite." He accepted one, his lips curving into a grateful smile. "You remembered." He paused, eyes meeting hers in a way that made her heart skip. "Thank you for everything, Lily." She felt warmth spread through her chest. "I'd do anything for you both." As they ate, Ethan's laughter floated down the hall, reminding them why they fought so hard. Lily set down her coffee and brushed a crumb from Alex's jacket. "There's a small mark here." Their fingers brushed. A spark of electricity traveled up Lily's arm. Alex paused, gaze lingering on her hand. His voice caught. "You're always looking out for us. You make this place feel like home." The intensity in his eyes made Lily's breath hitch. They stood close, the kitchen fading into silence. Lily smiled, her cheeks warming. "It's easy to care for him. And for you too. As much as I pretend, I feel part of this family now." He reached out, placing his hand over hers. The contact felt natural, comforting. "I can't imagine this without you." A sudden knock at the door pulled them back. Ethan rushed in, clutching his backpack. His innocent cheer broke the moment's tension. "Daddy, Lily, look at my drawing. I made a rocket ship." Lily knelt beside him, praise ready on her lips. Alex watched them, love shining in his gaze. She caught his eye and offered a small nod. Their shared glance said more than words ever could. Later, Alexander invited Lily to join him in his glass-walled office. He closed the door and gestured to the leather couch. "I want to show you something." He tapped a tablet. Charts and family photos appeared. Emma with Ethan on the beach, Emma with Alexander at a gala, and then new snapshots of Lily reading bedtime stories and helping Ethan paint. "I made this for the hearing," Alex explained. "I want the judge to see how you've made our life brighter." Lily touched his shoulder. "It's beautiful. I'm honored." He studied her face, his thumb brushing her wrist. "So am I." In that moment, the air between them hummed with unspoken longing. Lily felt her pulse quicken, torn between devotion to her role and the unexpected pull toward the man who had become her closest confidant. Lily swallowed, heart pounding. "I should get back to Ethan's school drop-off. Breakfast is getting cold." Alex stood and offered his hand. Then let me walk you down. As they descended the elevator together, their hands brushed once more. Lily carried the warmth of that touch with her, wondering how they would navigate the growing bond between them. At the lobby, they paused, and Alex's gaze found hers. "Thank you," he whispered. "For everything." Lily answered with a soft smile. "Always." They parted with lingering eyes, each stepping into the bright hallway alone, yet both feeling the undeniable pull drawing them closer. Gray clouds hugged the skyline as Lily drove Ethan to school. Rain tapped against the windshield in a gentle drum. She handed Ethan a bright yellow umbrella as he hopped from the car. "Thanks, Lily. I don't want to get wet," he exclaimed, swinging the umbrella over his head. Lily smiled. "Stay close, buddy. I'll walk you to the door." They stepped onto the wet pavement, and raindrops danced on Ethan's coat. Lily held the umbrella so he stayed dry. As they reached the school entrance, Ethan paused and looked up at her. "Will you be okay, Lily?" he asked. "I'll miss you today." Her heart warmed. "I'll be fine, Ethan. You have a great day, okay? I'll see you after school." He grinned and gave her a quick hug. Then he hurried inside, leaving Lily and her umbrella in the drizzle. She stood under the overhang and watched him join his friends. The morning felt different. The rain made everything quiet, thoughtful. Lily pulled out her phone and sent Alex a message. "Rainy day here. All settled. Thinking of you both. Love," he replied almost instantly. "Thank you, Lily. Stay safe." At the penthouse, Lily warmed her hands on a mug of tea. She looked out at the city, imagining Alex in his office, juggling meetings and worries about the hearing. She knew he counted on her calm presence. An hour later, her phone buzzed with a call from Alex. She answered, and his voice sounded closer in the rain's hush. "Lily, would you mind coming up to the office? I need your help with something." He paused. "It's about today's court memo." Her heart thudded. She grabbed her coat and umbrella and hurried up. In Alex's office, rain dripped from her shoes as she entered. He stood by the window, looking at her with concern. "Thank you for coming," he said. He motioned to a stack of papers on his desk. "We've received a new memo from Ruth Jacobs. She's pushing to move the hearing up to next week. If that happens, we won't have time to gather supporting statements." Lily's stomach twisted. "Next week? That's so soon." He nodded. "I know. I'm worried we don't have enough proof of your role. I was hoping you could share your experiences with Ethan in writing, specific moments demonstrating the bond you've built." Lily took a deep breath and sat. "Of course. I can do that today. Stories from first day, the bedtime confessions, the little moments." He exhaled, relief flooding his face. "Thank you. You're my anchor." Outside, rain pattered softly on the glass. Lily opened her laptop and began to type. Each memory, of a giggling Ethan, of Alex's grateful smile, felt like raindrops stitching them closer together. By late afternoon, she handed Alex the document. He read and nodded, reading parts out loud. When Ethan scraped his knee, "I held the umbrella tonight," he looked up, eyes shining. "This will help." Lily smiled, heart steady. The rain slowed, and a soft light broke through the clouds. In that moment, she knew they were stronger together, rain or shine. Lily sat at the dining table, her fingers tracing the edges of a family photo she had found earlier that day in the drawer of Alex's desk. She hadn't meant to snoop, but the sight of the framed picture had caught her eye. The photo showed a younger Alex, laughing with a woman she recognized instantly, Emma. Lily's stomach twisted as she studied the image. Emma had been beautiful, vibrant. She had shared the same warmth and light Alex had in his eyes now. For a moment, Lily felt a pang of guilt. Was she crossing a line by becoming too involved in their family? She set the photo down and tried to shake off the unease, but the image lingered in her mind. Later that evening, when Alex returned home, she was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. The sound of the door opening made her look up, and her heart warmed as she saw him, his tired eyes softening when he saw her. "Hey, how was your day?" she asked, trying to keep the conversation light, though the weight of the photo still sat heavy on her mind. "Busy. Ruth Jacobs is relentless. I'm running on fumes at this point," he said, running a hand through his hair. How about you? Lily hesitated, unsure how to bring up the photo without sounding like she was prying. She had always respected his boundaries, but the photo had stirred something in her that she couldn't ignore. I found something today. She began slowly, watching his face. A picture of you and Emma. From the past. Alex went still. His expression closed off, and Lily immediately regretted bringing it up. I didn't mean to invade your privacy, she added quickly. I saw it, and I didn't know if you wanted to talk about her. Alex sighed, setting his briefcase down before moving toward the kitchen counter. He leaned against it, rubbing his temples, clearly caught off guard by the unexpected topic. You don't have to apologize, Lily. It's just... His voice trailed off as he struggled to find the right words. I haven't really talked about Emma much since she passed. I've been too focused on Ethan, on keeping everything together. Lily felt a rush of understanding. She knew he had been through more than anyone should bear, and she could only imagine the pain of losing someone so close. She set the knife down and walked over to him, gently touching his arm. I get it. I can't imagine what you've been through. Her voice softened, filled with empathy. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. Alex looked at her then, his eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and sadness. His shoulders relaxed, and he let out a small sigh. Thank you, Lily. That means more than you know. For a moment, they stood there in quiet understanding, the air heavy with unspoken emotions. Then, Alex cleared his throat, trying to shift the mood. I guess it's time for dinner, he said, offering a small smile. How about I help with those vegetables? Lily nodded, grateful for the change in tone. As they worked together in the kitchen, the quiet tension between them softened. There was something comforting about sharing this small, domestic moment, a new kind of connection that didn't require words. Later, as they sat down to eat, Alex reached for her hand across the table. Surprised by the gesture, Lily met his gaze, her heart skipping a beat. Thank you, he said softly, his voice sincere. For being here, for everything. Lily's breath caught in her chest. The bond between them had deepened in ways she hadn't expected. It wasn't just about their roles anymore, it was about trust, understanding, and something more, something neither of them was ready to define yet. But in that quiet, intimate moment, Lily knew that whatever it was, they were no longer just a fake family, they were something real. The days following their quiet dinner felt different. There was a shift in the air between Lily and Alex, subtle yet unmistakable. The unspoken connection that had quietly grown between them seemed to deepen with every passing moment. They shared more glances, more small touches, and more conversations that lingered long after the words had been spoken. It wasn't romantic yet, but there was an undeniable bond forming, one that neither of them had planned on but both felt. One evening, after a long day of work and meetings, Alex invited Lily and Ethan to join him for a casual dinner at a local restaurant. It was a little out of the ordinary, but Alex seemed to want to break the routine, to step outside the role of the tired CEO and just be, well, a person. And Lily, feeling the same desire for something different, accepted the invitation. The three of them sat around a table at a cozy corner booth, the warm glow of the restaurant's lights casting a soft light over their faces. Ethan was animated as usual, talking about his day at school, his new friends, and the latest soccer game he was obsessed with. Lily smiled, listening with genuine interest, while Alex watched them both with quiet fondness. As dinner went on, the conversation flowed easily. For the first time in a long while, Alex wasn't consumed with thoughts of his company, and Lily wasn't worrying about whether she was stepping over any invisible boundaries. It felt natural, like they had all been a family for years. When the meal was over, and they stepped out into the crisp evening air, Alex surprised them both by suggesting they take a walk along the nearby park. The rain from earlier had cleared, leaving behind a cool breeze and a sky full of stars. It felt like the world had paused for a moment, just for them. They strolled slowly, Ethan skipping ahead and then running back, showing off his energy. Alex and Lily walked side by side, the silence between them comfortable. Every now and then, Alex would glance at her, and Lily would smile, her heart swelling a little more each time. There was no need for words. Each glance, each shared step felt like it was telling a story of its own. I'm glad we did this, Lily said, breaking the silence. Her voice was soft, but there was an earnestness to it that made Alex stop and look at her. Me too, he replied. His tone was sincere, his eyes searching hers. "You've become such an important part of our lives, Lily. I hope you know that." Her breath caught in her throat at the weight of his words. She hadn't expected him to say it, but the sincerity in his voice was undeniable. It was like the walls that had existed between them, those invisible barriers of professionalism and duty, were slowly starting to crumble. "I'm happy to be here, Alex," she said, her voice steady but full of emotion. "I've never felt more at home, even in the chaos of all of this." Ethan's laughter rang out ahead of them, and they both turned to watch him, the moment of silence between them filling with the sound of the world moving around them. As they walked back to the car, Alex took a step closer to Lily, and without thinking, he reached out, brushing her hand gently with his. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. Lily's heart skipped a beat as she glanced at him, meeting his gaze. This wasn't just a family he was offering anymore. It was something more. And for the first time, Lily allowed herself to imagine what it could be. Together. A real family. A real future. The question that had been haunting her, what came next, was beginning to feel less like a question and more like a promise. The following week, things took an unexpected turn. The court date for Alex's custody case had finally arrived. The looming trial had been a constant source of stress for him, and Lily knew the pressure was starting to weigh heavily on his shoulders. She had always been supportive, but this time felt different. As much as she cared for him, this case wasn't just about the child she had grown to love, it was about Alex's ability to retain custody of him, his future, his life. Lily had already witnessed the toll the case had taken on Alex. He hadn't slept well in weeks, and the once confident CEO was now a man consumed by worry. She understood that. She had seen it in his eyes, his overwhelming fear of losing Ethan. But there was nothing more she could do, except be there for him. She had promised him she would stand by him, no matter what. As the court date drew near, Alex's anxiety reached a peak. He wasn't sure what to expect. The legal system wasn't kind to anyone, especially when emotions and families were involved. It had already been a long and tiring battle, and Alex feared it was far from over. The night before the trial, Lily could sense his unease, even before he said a word. They had spent the evening together, working in silence, with occasional glances and soft conversation, but she knew he was deep in thought. As they sat across from each other at the dining table, the unease between them seemed palpable. "Alex," she began quietly, breaking the silence. She had thought about this moment all evening. "Are you okay?" Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. His hands trembled slightly, a sign that the pressure was getting to him. He gave her a weak smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'll be fine, Lily. I have to be. I can't lose him." Lily's heart broke for him. She knew how much Ethan meant to Alex. Losing him would be like losing a part of himself, a loss too deep to even comprehend. Lily set down her pen, reached across the table, and gently touched his hand. "You won't lose him, Alex. I know it doesn't feel that way, but you have a good heart. And Ethan loves you more than anything." Her voice was calm, steady. "I believe in you. And I believe in the love you have for him." Alex looked up at her then, his eyes full of gratitude but also vulnerability. "You've done more for us than you know, Lily. I don't know what I'd do without you." Her heart fluttered at his words. This wasn't just gratitude. There was something else in his eyes, something deeper, something that made her wonder if there was a future between them, something beyond their roles as a fake family. "I'll be right here," she said softly. "Tomorrow, and beyond. We'll get through this together." There was a long pause as Alex seemed to digest her words. For the first time in a while, he smiled. A real smile. It was small, but it was enough. It was the first moment since Emma's death that he allowed himself to feel a glimmer of hope. The next morning, they drove to the courthouse together. The air was heavy with anticipation, but as they walked into the building, Alex squeezed Lily's hand, silently thanking her for her presence. The courtroom was intimidating, filled with the clatter of legal jargon and cold metal chairs, but Lily was his anchor. She had become that for him without even realizing it. As the trial began, Alex found himself leaning on Lily more than ever, finding strength in her calm presence beside him. He wasn't sure what the outcome would be, but in that moment, with Lily's hand in his and Ethan waiting for him, he realized something. He wasn't alone anymore. And that, more than anything, made him feel like he could face whatever came next. The trial had ended. The silence in the courtroom was deafening as the judge deliberated, the weight of the moment heavy on Alex's chest. He sat beside Lily, his fingers nervously tapping the armrest, his mind replaying every detail of the case. It had been a long, draining day, and now they were left to wait. Lily could feel the tension radiating from him. Her heart ached for him, knowing how much this case meant, not just for him, but for Ethan. She glanced over at him, seeing the exhaustion in his eyes, and squeezed his hand in quiet reassurance. They were in this together, no matter what the verdict would be. The room grew colder as time passed, and it felt like an eternity before the judge finally entered, his robe swishing as he took his seat. The courtroom fell into a hushed silence, the only sound the soft shuffle of papers as he began to read the decision. Alex's grip tightened around Lily's hand, his eyes never leaving the judge. Every muscle in his body was tense, like a coiled spring, ready to snap. Lily held her breath, knowing how much this moment meant to him. The judge spoke slowly, each word drawing out the suspense. After careful consideration of all evidence presented and the testimony given, I have reached a decision regarding the custody of Ethan Kingston. Lily's heart was in her throat as she waited, her fingers intertwining with Alex's, offering him her silent strength. I have ruled in favor of the father, Mr. Alexander Kingston. Full custody of Ethan will remain with him. A rush of relief flooded over Alex, his entire body sagging as if the weight of the world had been lifted off his shoulders. His breath came out in a shaky exhale, his chest tightening with emotion. He looked at Lily, his eyes wide with disbelief, and then his lips curled into the smallest of smiles. "I won," he whispered, almost as if he couldn't believe it. Lily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she smiled back. "You did. You did, Alex." The room buzzed around them, but in that moment, it felt like the rest of the world had faded away. For Alex, the journey of the past few months had been a relentless storm, one that had tested him in ways he never expected. But now, he was standing in the calm of a new beginning, a victory that meant everything. And as he stood, his knees still shaking from the tension, he found his gaze drifting to Lily. She had been his rock through it all. She had offered him hope when he had none. She had been there for him in a way no one else could understand. "Thank you," Alex said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for being here, for everything." Lily smiled softly, her heart overflowing. "You don't need to thank me. I'm just happy that Ethan is where he belongs. And I'm happy you're getting what you deserve, Alex." His gaze lingered on her, searching her face as though seeing her for the first time. There was something deeper in his eyes now, something that spoke of more than gratitude. A silent understanding passed between them, one that neither of them had dared to acknowledge until this very moment. Before they could speak again, Ethan bounded into the courtroom, his face bright with excitement. "Dad, we won!" he exclaimed, throwing his arms around Alex's neck. The pure joy in his voice was the sweetest sound, the sound of everything Alex had fought for. "I'm so proud of you, buddy," Alex said, his voice hoarse as he hugged his son tightly. "I'll always be here for you." Lily stood back, her heart full as she watched the two of them. There was no denying it now. This was a family. A real family. As they left the courthouse, the bright sunlight felt warmer, the future more hopeful than it had ever been. It wasn't just the end of a legal battle. It was the beginning of something new. A new chapter for Alex, Ethan, and Lily. And though neither of them knew exactly what lay ahead, they both knew they would face it together. A family, as they were always meant to be. The days following the court ruling passed in a blur of happiness and quiet reflection. With Ethan finally settling into his new routine and Alex finding a new sense of peace, life began to feel more grounded. The anxiety and pressure that had once clouded Alex's mind seemed to fade, replaced by a contentment that, for the first time in years, felt real. One Saturday morning, as sunlight streamed through the windows, Alex found himself sitting on the living room couch, scrolling through his phone absent-mindedly. Ethan was upstairs, engrossed in a video game, and for the first time in a long time, there was a stillness in the house that Alex had never known. The house, once a place of constant stress and corporate calls, now felt like a home. It was quieter, more peaceful, but also more alive, filled with a kind of warmth that made Alex feel like everything was exactly as it should be. Lily had been a steady presence in their lives. Ever since the court ruling, She had become more than just the fake mom Alex had hired months ago. She had become someone he trusted, someone who had woven herself into the fabric of their little family. Her role had shifted, and so had his feelings for her. Alex wasn't sure when it had happened, but somewhere along the way, his admiration for her had turned into something deeper, something he couldn't ignore. She had been so selfless, so patient with both him and Ethan. She had brought laughter and a sense of stability to their home, and her presence had healed wounds Alex hadn't even known were there. Her kindness had seeped into his heart, filling the empty spaces left by the loss of Emma and the years spent in a world of loneliness and corporate stress. Lily wasn't just the woman who had helped him save his family. She had become the woman he couldn't imagine living without. As if on cue, Lily entered the room, holding a tray with 2 mugs of coffee and a plate of muffins. Her smile was soft, genuine, and it made Alex's chest tighten in the most unexpected way. She placed the tray down on the coffee table, her eyes meeting his. "Morning," she said, sitting down beside him. The warmth in her voice was a balm to the soul, soothing all the lingering tension Alex hadn't realized he was still carrying. "How's your day looking?" Alex took a deep breath, taking in the simple moment. "Better now," he said with a small smile, reaching for a muffin. "I've been thinking about everything, really. How much things have changed in such a short time." Lily nodded, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. "It's been a whirlwind, hasn't it?" "Yeah," Alex agreed, his gaze softening. "But I think it's the kind of whirlwind I've needed." They both sat in silence for a moment, the comfortable kind of silence that came from knowing one another deeply without needing to speak. Alex set his coffee down and turned to face Lily more fully. "Lily, I want to thank you. For everything. For being there for us. For sticking around even when this whole thing was crazy." She smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "You don't need to thank me, Alex. I told you from the start I was here for you and Ethan. I'm just happy to be a part of your lives." Her words, spoken with such quiet sincerity, made Alex's heart swell with emotion. But there was something else he needed to say. Something that had been building inside him for weeks. "Lily," he began again, his voice a little rougher now, "you've changed my life. In ways I never expected. And I think I'm falling for you." Lily blinked, her expression softening as she absorbed his words. For a moment she said nothing, her gaze steady on him, before a gentle smile curved her lips. "I think I've been falling for you too," she said quietly. A weight Alex hadn't realized he was carrying lifted, replaced by something lighter, something more hopeful. This wasn't just about being a fake family anymore. This was real. Their connection was real. And suddenly, everything felt clear. "I want to do this right," Alex said, his voice sincere. "I want to build a life with you. Not just for Ethan, but for us too." Lily's heart swelled at his words. She had never imagined that the path they had started on would lead them here. But now, as she looked into his eyes, she knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning of their new chapter. And this time it was for real. The days following Alex's confession were filled with new energy. It wasn't just the excitement of newfound love, though that played its part. It was the sense of shared purpose, of embarking on something that had seemed impossible only a short time ago. Lily and Alex spent more time together, navigating the delicate balance between being a family for Ethan and rediscovering the bond they had begun to form. There were still moments when Alex questioned his decision, when doubts crept in, but those moments were always fleeting. Every time he looked at Lily, he felt the strength of his choice, the certainty that this was where he was meant to be. One afternoon, as Ethan was doing his homework, Alex sat on the back porch with Lily. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow over everything. There was a quiet peace in the air, the kind that made everything feel right. "I've been thinking," Alex said, breaking the silence. He turned to Lily, his expression serious but kind. "I don't want you to think that what we've built here, what we've shared, is just because of the court case. I know that's how it started, but it's so much more now." Lily met his gaze, her heart skipping a beat. She had felt it too. The shift. It wasn't just about Ethan anymore. It was about them, about the unexpected connection that had blossomed in the most unlikely of circumstances. "I know, Alex," she replied softly. "I feel the same way. We're not just a fake family anymore. We've become something real." There was a long pause, and in that silence, everything unspoken between them settled. They had come so far. From the chaos of their initial arrangement to this quiet moment of understanding, they had built something neither of them expected, but both of them needed. "I want to make a promise to you," Alex continued, his voice steady, his words carefully chosen. "Not just for Ethan but for us. I want to build a future. A real one. I want you in my life, and I want you to be a part of Ethan's life for as long as you'll have us." Lily's heart swelled, and for a moment, she struggled to find the right words. She had never imagined her life turning out this way, but here she was, falling in love with a man who had once seemed so out of reach. "I want that too, Alex," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want to face it with you." They sat in silence for a moment, their hands intertwined. It was the kind of silence that was full of promise, a new beginning, a shared future. As time passed, Ethan adjusted to his new life with surprising ease. It had been a little overwhelming at first. He was used to his world being just him and his dad, but now he had Lily, a woman who had become so much more than just a caretaker. She was part of his life, part of the family, in ways that he couldn't quite explain. But he felt it. One Saturday morning, Alex and Lily sat with Ethan over breakfast, a routine they had settled into over the past few months. The sound of laughter filled the kitchen as Ethan cracked jokes, showing off his latest art project. For the first time in a long time, Alex felt a sense of completeness. Ethan was thriving, not just in school but in life. And Lily's influence had helped him become more open, more trusting. Ethan glanced up at his father. "Dad, do you think I can get a dog soon?" he asked, his eyes wide with hopeful excitement. Alex chuckled, glancing at Lily. "You've been asking for a while now, haven't you?" "I've been really good," Ethan replied, his voice sincere. "I think I deserve one." Lily raised an eyebrow at Alex. "A dog?" she asked, feigning surprise. Alex shrugged. "Maybe it's time. He's been asking for months." Lily smiled. "Well, I think he's earned it." Alex turned to Ethan, his eyes filled with affection. "All right, buddy. We'll start looking this weekend." Ethan's face lit up. "Yes," he cheered, pumping his fist in the air. "Thanks, Dad." "Thanks, Lily." Lily's heart warmed as she watched the exchange. She had come into their lives as an outsider, a woman who had no real connection to them. And yet, here she was, a part of their world in a way that felt so natural. She was just as much a part of their family as Ethan was. Later that afternoon, as Alex and Ethan went to the animal shelter to look for the perfect dog, Lily stayed behind, reflecting on everything that had led them to this moment. She had never imagined her life turning out this way, but she was grateful for every unexpected twist. This was the family she never knew she needed, and now, she couldn't picture her life without them. Months passed, and things continued to settle into a beautiful rhythm. Alex and Lily's relationship grew stronger, and their bond deepened with every passing day. Ethan was happy, thriving in school, and with the dog they had gotten, his laughter filled the house. The family they had built, though unconventional in its beginnings, was real. More real than Alex could have ever imagined. One evening, after Ethan had gone to bed, Alex and Lily sat on the couch together, sipping wine and chatting about their day. It had become their routine. This time they spent alone after Ethan was asleep. It was their time to reconnect, to talk about their hopes, dreams, and everything in between. But tonight was different. Alex had been planning this moment for weeks. He had known what he wanted, and now, he was ready to make it official. As Lily set her glass down, Alex turned to her, his heart racing. "Lily," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "I've been thinking a lot about us. About everything we've been through, how much we've changed, how much we've grown together. I know this may sound crazy, but I can't imagine my life without you." Lily looked at him, her expression softening. She had no idea what he was about to say, but she felt the sincerity in his words. "I love you, Lily," Alex continued, his voice thick with emotion. "I've loved you for a while now, and I can't keep pretending I don't feel this way. You've changed my life, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to be with you. Always." Lily's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't the first time Alex had expressed his feelings, but tonight felt different. She could see the depth of his sincerity, the weight of his words. "I love you too, Alex," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex smiled, his eyes shining with happiness. "Then will you marry me?" Lily blinked, stunned. For a moment, she couldn't speak. She had never expected this moment to come, but now that it was here, she realized how much she wanted it. "Yes, yes, of course," she exclaimed, tears welling in her eyes. "I'll marry you." Alex laughed, relief flooding through him. He had feared this moment, but now, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. He reached for her hand, slipping a simple but elegant ring onto her finger. "I promise to always love you, to be there for you, and to cherish every moment we have together," Alex vowed. "And I promise to do the same," Lily replied, her voice full of warmth and love. They kissed then, sealing their promise to each other. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one they would write together, one filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. The wedding day arrived with all the anticipation and excitement that such an event brings. The house was filled with energy as Lily prepared for the most important day of her life. She stood before the mirror, her reflection barely recognizable in her wedding gown. It was the dress she had always dreamed of, elegant and timeless. Ethan, now 10 years old, was bursting with excitement. He had been practicing his role as the ring bearer, his tiny tuxedo making him look all the more adorable. He had also been thrilled to be part of their special day, witnessing the love between his dad and Lily grow. Alex was downstairs, anxiously checking his watch, looking forward to the moment when he would finally marry the woman he loved. Ethan had been by his side all morning, offering encouragement, despite being more excited than nervous. The ceremony was small and intimate, held in the beautiful garden of their home, surrounded by close family and friends. There, under a sky filled with the golden light of the afternoon sun, Alex and Lily exchanged vows. "I promise to love you through all the highs and lows, to cherish and honor you every day of my life," Alex said, his voice full of emotion. "You are my everything." Lily smiled through tears, her heart full as she responded, "I promise to stand by you always, to love you with everything I have. You're my home, Alex." As they kissed, sealing their vows, the crowd cheered, and Ethan beamed with pride. From that moment on, everything changed. They were no longer a broken family trying to make the best of things. They were a family, bound by love, commitment, and a future they would create together. Hey there, story lovers! If you want to add a little more magic, adventure, and heartwarming moments to your day, make sure you subscribe to the Daily Stories channel on YouTube. Join our community of dreamers and seekers of inspiration. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss our new story every single day.